I want to share some thoughts on what happened in Arizona last weekend at the Turning Point USA event. One of the highlights was Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika, the new chairman and CEO of TP USA, on stage interviewing the rapper Nicki Minaj. Minaj apparently surprised a lot of people by revealing she's a huge fan of President Trump, urging young men to be more like our handsome, dashing commander-in-chief. Minaj sang Trump's praises, saying he's given so many people hope that there's a chance to beat the bad guys and to win, and to do it with your head held high. Minaj talked about how both she and the president grew up in Queens, New York, how they've both risen from adversity, had to deal with all sorts of challenges, including hate and lies from the public, how it's possible to conquer setbacks, come back from the worst and lowest moments, and find success. And then, my favorite part, she went after California Governor Gavin Newsom, who she called news scum, who's one of the Democrats positioning for a run for president in 2028. Watch.
Imagine being the guy running on wanting to see trans kids. Haha, not even a trans adult would run on that. Normal adults wake up and think they want to see healthy, safe, happy kids. Not Gav. The Gav knocks. Gav not in, Gav out. Send in the next guy, I'm bored.
Good for you, Nicki. I couldn't agree more. And I've said it many times on my show, The Leventhal Report on Newsmax 2. We need to let kids be kids. And sometimes a parent needs to be strong and say no. A child or young teen is often heavily influenced by friends or social media. And if they decide they're unhappy in their bodies and want to change their gender, you have to remind them they're too young to make life-altering decisions. That's your job. They need to grow up first, and when they're 18 or 21, if they still want to be something else, so be it. You do the best you can, making the responsible choices for them until they're truly old enough to make those changes on their own. So, Nicki Minaj made her positions clear and also talked about her religious journey and the slaughtering of Christians in Nigeria, saying, "We won't be silenced ever again, and we'll speak up for Christians wherever they are in this world." An important message and something to think about, especially today on Christmas. And she also addressed the backlash she's taken for being a conservative in a very liberal-oriented industry, saying, "We're the cool kids, and the others are just disgruntled and angry with themselves," saying, in essence, she won't back down, and neither should anyone else in the conservative crowd. And then, guess what happened? Nicki Minaj endured a tidal wave of hate. Nasty messages flooding her inbox, nasty posts all over Instagram, angry former fans belittling and degrading and attacking her for her beliefs and her courage to share those beliefs with the world. It got so bad, so overwhelming, Nicki Minaj deleted her Instagram account, which had nearly 10 million followers. It's not the first time she left the platform, and in all likelihood, she'll be back. But it's a sad reminder of the hypocrisy on the left, the inability of liberals who say they're all about love and inclusion to actually love and include others who feel differently about things. If you only love and include those who agree with you, you're a hypocrite. You're not a loving, inclusive person. This is the exact opposite of how these things should go, the exact opposite of what our nation stands for. There's a reason why freedom of speech is the very First Amendment. It's what this nation's founders decided was the most important thing. People should not be silenced by their government or anyone else. People shouldn't be punished simply for feeling differently than others around them. People should have the right to speak their minds without fear of retribution. The First Amendment guarantees citizens the right to express themselves as long as it's not directly harming others. This isn't China or Cuba or Venezuela. We're not communists, we're not fascists, and we don't live in a dictatorship. We're a constitutional republic with freedoms most of the world envies. So much, in fact, that millions of people show up at our borders every year hoping to experience it for themselves. And of course, our laws also guarantee others the right to disagree, but it doesn't have to get personal or vicious or violent. Someone who speaks their truth should be applauded, or at least respected, especially someone who could lose popularity and income just for being honest about where they stand. The founders of our nation didn't all agree on everything, but they were still able to sit in the same room and craft some very important documents together. They were able to set aside personal issues, biases, and ideological differences and come up with something truly beautiful and remarkable and meaningful and lasting. They created the United States of America from scratch. That's what can happen when people work with each other instead of against each other. And I wish people paid attention to that, learned from it, and applied it to their lives today. Because the more we all work together, the stronger and better and happier and successful.
You know, folks, I thank God for my wonderful wife, my kids, my country, the greatest nation ever. And Americans like you who believe in the truth, the Chris Salcedo Show will never stop fighting for you.
The Chris Salcedo Show, for the news you need to know.